Hi everyone, hola. How's everyone doing? Welcome to our 22nd episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. My name is Julio Panicello. I am the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters. I'm so unprepared today. And I am going to be the host of this presentation. What's new, right? So we're just going to introduce this episode for those of you who are joining and don't know what this is about. The Roofless Dog and Pony Show is a live, unedited, and today super unprepared presentation featuring the conceptual and stylistic inspiration behind our painting webinars. We do one painting webinar a week, and these episodes serve as an introduction to the painting webinar. We talk about what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it. And while we talk about that, we use these presentations and episodes as introduction to the painting webinar. So when we get to paint, oh my gosh, so many people today. When we get to paint, then we can use every single minute to work on our pieces. And I'm gonna also say that you can find all the episodes in our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel and it's filled with stuff. We have 22 episodes of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show plus other stuff. And also you can find it in our Instagram account. So without further ado, I'm just going to talk about what we're going to do this Friday. I just don't have like too many images, but this Friday is an important day that we have in our calendar. It's the Transgender Day of Remembrance. And it is very important for many reasons, but we want to dedicate tomorrow, Friday, we want to dedicate the session to the day, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the day, and I'll explain why we have this image right here. But this whole week has been dedicated to transgender not transgender issues, but it's the Transgender Remembrance Week in anticipation to tomorrow, Friday. So the day is observed annually on November 20th, and it's a day to memorialize those who have been murdered as a result of transphobia, racism, and other ugly stuff. It's a day to draw attention to the continued violence endured by transgender people around the world. And in US, I think up to today, there are reported 36 murders of transgender people, and it's the highest number ever recorded ever since the Human Rights Campaign has been disclosing the numbers precisely every November 20th. So on Friday, the Human Rights Campaign, they just report all these cases that happen up to today, I guess. So 2020, no surprise here, has already seen at least 36 transgender or gender non-conforming people shot, killed, burned, strangled. I don't know. It's just like really crazy. The majority of the people who have been murdered were Black or Latinx transgender women. And some of these cases are unresolved. They're not reported or underreported, and there's no legal action. It's just really ugly. And so I think that's okay. So I think can you guys hear me? I hope you can. If not, let me know. But yeah. So this has been the most violent year against trans people ever recorded, as I said. Experts say the numbers reflect what has been ongoing, what has been an ongoing epidemic of transphobic and racism. Okay, thanks, Dina. Violence against transgender women of color in the U.S. No surprise here, and it's just terrible. So the reason why there are many reasons why we want to do this, but one of the reasons it's because the violence it goes beyond affecting just a group of people. There is an intersection of racism, of sexism, of homophobia, of biphobia, of transphobia, that they're sort of like tumorize, and they reflect in violence and murders against trans people, or trans people of color specifically. But it's a disease. It's something that's not specific to just one group of people. It's reflected this way, but it's a disease that it's getting worse. And we want to bring up or to talk about it. A lot of these people are artists and creatives, and we feel that, this needs to be addressed. Visibility is important to us in that sense. And the creator of the Transgender Day of Remembrance, Gwendolyn Ann Smith, says or mentions that Transgender Day of Remembrance seeks to highlight the losses the community faces due to anti-transgender bigotry and violence. And with so many people, a growing number of people seeking to erase transgender people, so with the most using the most brutal means, which are sometimes even condoned or not not investigated. So she mentions that it's vitally important that those who have been lost and murdered are remembered, and that the fight for justice continues. And so I'm going to explain that what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to bring images, photographs of the 36 people that were murdered in 2020. And based on the words of the creator of this day, we are going to do portraits of these people. We know that some people in the community are not happy about just using hashtags. People are really frustrated and angry, and it almost seems like it's a trend that's expected, that when someone dies in the community, then they're just sort of like hashtags on social media and nothing else. So we understand that frustration, and this has been done before, creating portraits of people, transgender people, in order to raise their profile. But in the spirit of what the creator of the day hopes, we want to just raise visibility and talk about those lives, and hopefully we'll just contribute to the conversation to keep going. There is a huge dark future ahead of us, but as a society, I would say, but it's important that we all keep fighting and just making sure that trans lives matter. So that's going to be the title of our webinar, Trans Lives Matter. And this is we're going to bring very few examples of transgender people throughout history and art history, because what's really important is to also make sure that we talk about how trans people have been with us ever since we've been here, I guess. The word transgender, it's a sort of like a very recent word. The word transsexual was used before that, and the word transgender hopes to be a bigger umbrella for people that don't fit in the binary system. But before the word, there were individuals and people who did not identify as within the binary spectrum or extremes, I guess. So it's very interesting because these people, they existed without the language. They existed without the communities that we have right now. They existed without the technologies that we have right now to share and communicate. They were living their lives, some of them openly and accepted by their communities without being called transgender or transsexual or transvestite, which is an even older term. They existed before doctors discovered that they were different, or they were diagnosed as being different. So they existed before science and recognized them again. And also they existed before they engaged with one another. And I just think that it's also very important because some people were completely isolated, some transgender people, but they still, there are many references of their lives, thankfully. And so there was no surgery at the time for people that were interested or people that think that surgery is the only way of being transgender, which is not the case. And also they existed before there were any hormone therapies out there. So they were present, and they lived their lives without the things that supposedly now should make things easier for transgender people of any denomination, because there are many. And one of them, let me just bring, and by the way, transgender is a term that denominates a huge spectrum of people that fall between the gender binary. It's not specifically to gender orientation or biology or identity or anything like that. So yeah, let's just kind of like mention that, because the examples that we're going to bring just fall in before surgeries and hormone therapy was introduced as an option. I think the first person who did transition surgically, it was in the UK, I believe, and very recently, I think 20th century. But before that, we're just going to bring, for example, this painter. Let me just find the reference. Rosa Bonheur. She was a French painter and sculptor from the late 1800s. So yeah, 19th century. She was the first woman. This is a portrait of her. She didn't do this portrait, but she was the first woman to be awarded the Grand Cross by the French Legion of Honor. She was very popular at the time. I forgot the year that she was born, but yeah, late 1800s, I believe. And she exhibited during her lifetime in the Paris salons regularly before the Impressionists broke the rules. She was often mistaken as a man, or for a man, I'm sorry, for her hairstyle and her strong features, whatever that means, and her clothes. She was granted permission by the police commissioner to wear men's attire while painting, which was not allowed. She was married twice, first to her childhood sweetheart, Natalie Mika, in a private family ceremony conducted by Natalie's father. And after Natalie's death, she married an American artist named Anna Klumpke. She was very successful financially, and this allowed her to purchase a chateau farm near Fontainebleau forest and to pay off her father's debts. She also supported her siblings throughout her life, despite their objections to her lifestyle. And Bonheur consistently defended her independence and her relationships with both her wives. She used her will to force legal recognition of her right to transfer her property to another woman. And let me just find out exactly when she lived, because I think and probably it's just going to take a little bit more time, but I think it's important to bring examples, since we're going to do portraits of people that have been murdered, and that's pretty gruesome and controversial. We wanted to bring stories and examples of transgender people before modern times that were recognized, accepted, successful, and yeah. So let me just see. And examples of she was born in 1822 and she died in 1899 at age 77. So yeah, late 1800s. So another example of another artist, and we don't have portraits of him, but he was a Japanese artist who was born with a female body. We should say that, right? Or female characteristic, or characteristics associated with female biology. Okuhara Seiko. She was he was an artist of the late Edo and early Meiji period. I think let me just find out exactly what the year was, because I don't want to mess this up. Yeah, so I guess 1837, 1913. Yeah, so around the same time, contemporary of Rosa Bonheur. So how about that? This is one of his paintings, by the way. And women were not allowed to learn art. They were not allowed to paint. And she was arranged. Was arranged to marry a man. There was an arranged marriage because of her upper class status. But yeah, so she just didn't do it. And let me just go really quickly. So at age 28, Setsuko wished to move to the capital of Edo, so now Tokyo, to begin a career as an artist. However, laws in the late Edo period forbade women from leaving the clan lands. So Setsuko arranged to be adopted by an aunt in the neighboring clan of Sekiyado, which had no restrictions of women's travel. So she found her way to bypass the laws, and shortly after arriving in Edo, around 1865, she changed her name from Setsuko to Seiko, a name that gives no indication of gender. So technically, she was not. We should call they, because she was a non-binary person at the time. So the name Seiko means clear lake. Seiko was a masculine, robust figure wearing men's clothes and a short hair in a male style. A gregarious personality, quick wit, creativity, and penchant for conversation made Seiko an extremely popular and sought-after personality at scholarly gatherings and parties. It did not take long for Seiko to become an established artist. Seiko was the first non-binary artist to have an audience with the Empress, and Seiko's home became a favorite gathering place for artistic and literary leaders of the day. So she created an art school for girls in the early 1870s, and they believed that girls who were serious about their education needed a place to study away from the demands of home. The school grew, reaching upward to 300 students, including geisha. Well, that's a huge accomplishment. They created a school for girls, an art school for. Thanks, Amanda. So I'm just gonna move to the Baroque time, 17th century, because we are fascinated by this. We've been talking about the Baroque, the Italian Baroque, and how much the painters loved ochre. And we brought up this week a painting by a famous Baroque artist living in Naples, but he was from Spain. And Naples was very interesting at the time, the 1600s. Let me see if I find the information, because it's very interesting. The painting that we talked about, let me see if I can find it. It was a long time. Oh, no, it's right here. Yeah, this is... I already forgot the name of the artist, 1600s, and it's a painting of a husband and a wife, and the wife is breastfeeding. This is a very, very rare painting portraying breastfeeding standing up. And I forgot the name of the artist, but we talked about this, and it happened in Naples. It was during the Baroque period, the 1700s. But then we learned that in Naples at the time, there was a group of people. They were called Il Feminello. Yeah, let me just see if I can find information. By the way, this is a painting by Giuseppe Bonito, the Feminello, painted in 1740, a little bit later than what we talked about, but it's still within the Italian Baroque, or Baroque in general. So this recently discovered painting, it's a testament of the exceptional social acceptance of cross-dressers known as femminili in the city of Naples. The term, which might be translated as little female men, is not derogatory, but rather an expression of endearment. Feminelli come from the Spanish Quarter, the most impoverished neighborhood in the city, and Naples was a dump in general. So the Spanish Quarter must have been hell. But anyhow, so yeah, so the most impoverished neighborhood in the city, as is evidenced by the person's missing tooth, hereditary condition among the poor. Although Feminelli cross-dress from an early age, they do not try to conceal their birth sex completely. Rather than being stigmatized, they are deemed special and are accepted as almost a third sex. This is the 17th century we're talking about. Okay, and this is an article from the Portland Art Museum. I think this piece may be part of their permanent collection. In particular, Feminelli are thought to bring good luck. So, I don't know how to pronounce this word. Neapolitans often take them gambling. I don't think the person who wrote this was very good, but anyhow, this association is represented by the necklace of red coral, which is also thought to bring good fortune. Owing to social prejudice, cross-dressers were rarely depicted until the modern era. In spite of Neapolitan acceptance, this is the only known representation of a Feminello before photographs made it at the end of the 19th century. And I just want to bring up another, and I'm going to make this short, you guys. So I'm going to bring another article from Teen Vogue magazine, 2017. Teen Vogue has been doing a very good job at bringing up articles about gender issues and sex issues that actually are very interesting. So Il Femminello, even within the boundaries of colonial Europe, gender variant people existed, documented in paintings from as early as the 18th century. Il Femminello were individuals assigned male at birth, who dressed as and behaved like women in Naples, Italy. While largely segregated within the city, Il Femminello were considered a blessing and good fortune upon the families they were born into. Okay, so this was not just a person who was considered good luck and for society and as almost as a joke that, you know, they would take them gambling for good luck. They were considered a blessing and good fortune upon the families they were born into. To this day, gender variant pilgrims still venerate the Madonna of Transformation In the country's southern regions, okay, we're just gonna need to find out exactly where this is, what it looks like, because this is something we had no idea. All right, moving on. I'm just gonna go to this painting right here. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to. Yeah, Chevalier Dion. Charles Genevieve Louis Auguste Timothée Dion de Beaumont, or the Chevalier Dion, was born on October 5th, 1728. So we're talking from the 17th century to the 18th century. So he was born to noble but impoverished parents, and he became a spy. His new employment was in a secret organization known as the King's Secret, a group answerable directly to the king himself. Dion was perfect for life as a spy. He was a good actor. He also had a very androgynous appearance, something that served him well during a mission to the court of Empress Elizabeth of Russia. This is a painting. Oh no, I don't have the information of the painting. This goes on, and he lived. Yeah, I just don't have much, but so yeah, he was a very important figure in 18th century France. The article. This is an article by historycollection.com, and it talks about important transgender figures in history. And there are many, but we just picked a few. And I think what I'm gonna do is, sorry, I don't have that much on this particular image, but I will just bring another one. This is Roman Emperor Elagabalus. Emperor Elagabalus was one who appears to be transgender, born in Emesa in Syria. Various Avitus, forget it, reigned from the 218 until 220 AD. So that's the 1st century. While in power, the teenage emperor enjoyed bisexual relationships and cross-dressing. Sources also hint that he may not have been comfortable with his birth gender. And this is a painting. We just don't have the image of this, the information. Sorry, I'm totally unprepared. But so yeah, another example. And finally, there is this example. So an example from the 1st century, an example from the 18th century, and this example, if I can bring it. Yeah, so this is from the Middle Ages, and this was Eleanor Reichner. She was born as a man, or with male features. She was a sex worker. She was caught in the acts of this is in London in the late 14th century, by the way. Yes, so let me just go really quickly. She was famous because she was tried, but the court couldn't decide if she was a man or a woman, and they did not convict her. She was tried because of being caught in public having sex, I guess, but they wanted to accuse her of let me just find this. Nah, I'm not gonna say it. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. They just in court they just didn't even want to use they couldn't decide which pronoun to give her. They were deciding what gender to consider Eleanor. Thus history is left with a record of a trans woman, and also a record of the conflict, which is textbook gender dysphoria, a marked difference between the individual's experienced gender and the gender others would assign to him or her. Yeah, so she worked as a seamstress also, and she was arrested. After interrogation, she's forced to confess that she once lived in London as a man named John. She tells the story of her transition and her new work as a seamstress and sex worker. She discusses sleeping with both men and women, from aristocrats to nuns and priests, some of whom offered her pay or presents. And I think we're gonna kind of like stop here, but we hope that you enjoyed this presentation. We wanted to bring examples of individuals in pre-modern times that transition from one gender to the next, or they were clearly transgender, and there are records of their life as having been successful and having gained reputation and praise and achieved great things during their lives, financial success and recognition, as a counterbalance to the fact that tomorrow we are going to bring images of photographs of the people that this year in 2020 were murdered. 36, it's not an accurate account, because some of the people that have been murdered were misgendered when that happened. So some experts say that it could be much more. So since tomorrow is Transgender Day of Remembrance, we decided to observe the day and do something that it's not original, because this was done before by other artists. Create portraits of people that have been murdered in order to raise the issue, bring visibility, but at the same time we also wanted to bring examples there are many more. There are just literally there are dozens of examples. We just brought the ones that we found painting of, or some record of their life. There are examples of genders beyond the binary in literally every single culture in the world. In Hawaii, there is a term to describe people that don't fall in the binary formula. Indigenous people in this country also have a term for, I think there are 4 genders as well. It was just all the imperialists that made sure that anything that deviated from a binary was completely erased. But before the colonial takeover of many cultures, there are examples in language. There are some, we were just reading about Farsi not having female or male pronouns. I have to verify that, but I think I should know that. And there are examples in language, even though the word transgender is very recent, and there are examples in words, examples in records of people in literally every single culture in our beloved planet. Join us tomorrow. Register online. This is going to be awesome. Let's observe the day. We're not celebrating, obviously, worst day for transgender rights ever recorded. So we think that we have some rights right now, but it's just really ugly out there. Let's help our friends and family and people we know make sure that we are good allies to them. Oh, and Hania, by the way, in the UK in 2020, the violence against, I just have a little, in the UK, transphobic hate crime reports have quadrupled over the past 5 years. So thanks, Sarah, thanks, Hania, thanks, everybody, Amanda, Dina, thank you so much for joining and listening to this rambling. Nina and Laura, Love you so much, guys. Julie, this has been the most successful episode. We're still single digits, but who cares? We love doing this. We love you guys for being so enthusiastic. Let's do this. Sign up. 2 hours, $20. You get a bonus session on Tuesday, shared folder, feedback. The paintings are amazing. It's good for you. So if you can do it, and you don't even have to attend if you cannot because you're busy that time, register. We'll send you the link to the webinar so you can watch it after. And as usual, thanks. If you have any questions or you want to add anything to this presentation, we are coming from a place of ignorance. We have learned a lot and are constantly trying to be educated. And we know that there are many other issues that we are not aware of. This is a journey for us as well in regards of like learning more and more. So about this issue. So if you have any comments, any questions, anything you want to add, any historical figure you think we should check out and bring tomorrow or talk about tomorrow, let us know. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye.